Hello and welcome to Zephyr's Gambit, role-playing game channel, and my name is Matt Mahat, and this is Slice of Desperation, a Star Wars adventure. I have with me Jim and Chris. Unfortunately, due to technical difficulties, we're unable to show some of the video footage of faces, so unfortunately it'll just be me that you're looking at, my ugly mug, so enjoy that. But today we are back in our ship right now as both Jeef and Mineth have experienced a sort of either virtual reality in Jeef's case, or a dream state for Mineth's case, where we attempted to discover what was going on with gate travel, why every time we used a gate we were getting headaches and hearing voices, and why our crew was getting angry and upset and all sorts of different things. And we had those individual character spotlight sessions, and we've just sort of woken up and righted ourselves from that. And you now have the chance to talk to each other about that. We are on our way to the spot in space where we believe Mineth's parents are being held. So we've sort of gated to Regulon, and we're on our way north from there. And if you want to stop in Regulon and, I don't know, check in with anything there, you can. If we want to talk, we can. Or I can, keep the story flowing and take us to the planet where Mineth's parents are supposedly being held at ransom. So I'll switch over to you guys. You can introduce your characters real quick and maybe have this chat around the table of the ship as to what we might have seen in our dreams. So, Jim.
Hey, real quick before I say anything stupid, which I will do since I'm playing Jeef, um, aware that her parents have been kidnapped and held there, or not been shared with me yet, or is that common for all of us?
So, what happened is that we were going to have the session A Ransom, which was going to detail that as well as our ship, our dream states. It was written in the description of that event that didn't happen. Basically, Peref, the Ortolan trader, when he gave us the reward, which was whatever tech we wanted from his stores, he also told us that Mineth's parents were apparently being held at ransom. He basically showed us a clip of these ruffians holding them and sort of demanding money for them. Peref told us that this was not the only video that he had seen, and the reason why he had seen this particular one sort of first, or more notably, was because he's a trader and they're trying to get other traders to buy into setting these people free, because they're kind of an important part of the of trade across this part of the galaxy, and so they're trying to get other traders to buy in to get as much money as they can. Peref sort of I guess was showing us a few different things, and Mineth's like, hang on, they're my parents. So that's kind of where we're at. Sorry, I didn't. If I didn't mention that, I thought that I did last when I did my session with you, but maybe I didn't. That's okay. Sorry.
That's all right. I couldn't remember if that's something that you had told me as Jim, or if that's something that Jeef had
Right.
learned.
Yeah.
I
Well.
think I think it had been alluded to the session prior to
Okay.
that not so much what, but that they knew her parents' whereabouts.
Yeah, but it's good to have that refresh of information anyway.
Definitely.
So
Right.
yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, uh, I know that you're probably thinking of getting straight to Regulon. I pauses and looks toward you. If it were any other circumstance, I would probably have to agree with you. Take care of family and I don't know. Is it that big rock out there? If, whatever these are.
Oh man, I'm getting cut up as well here with our
Okay.
technical difficulties.
I wasn't sure if it was just me or
Oh man.
I
Do not understand at
I
all, or would it
think
be
I got
broken?
the gist, but I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah. What to do?
Try something. What's that?
Uh,
Is that better?
right now it seems okay. It was just like dipping at the start and ends of your sentences. We got sort of like
Yeah.
the middles.
Yeah.
Oh
So I
man.
got
You're unsure as to whether we should go straight to Regulin because you've seen this.
missed the rest. But I'm sure you were making a case
Well,
for
I said that under any other circumstance, I would say yes. Let's go to Regulon and let's take care of them first.
But in this circumstance, knowing what we know, so what is Jeeves? Does Jeeves have an idea of what he would want to do instead? I suppose.
Uh, a long distance view of that planet.
All right, so sort of fly closest to that area of space. Obviously
To
not.
stay away from its gravity well completely.
Mm, yeah. Obviously our scanners are pretty good. Um, they're not. We could invest in better scanners. I mean, that would be something that would be on the in Paref stores actually. I know that means that maybe a character gets less character reward out of that, but we could go for long range kind of HD scanners rather than sort of medium range ones. Um,
That
from
from that part of the conversation, then Jeef brought up that would that's enough for Jeef to go. All right, maybe we can go then and see if we can haggle our way, find a way to purchase it to get that installed, and then obviously going to take time. I could work on that. You could check and see if you could find information on your parents.
that
Looking at your
might
face,
be a
he'd
good
probably go,
plan.
I guess I could go with you.
Chief, I mean, if we're gonna have to destroy a planet, we're gonna need all the help we can get too. and it wasn't just my parents. There's other people involved, and maybe they'd
You can see that she's
be able
talking,
to
but I
help her
can't hear anything.
somehow.
Oh,
Oh,
man,
no.
I can hear her.
Oh.
And she's coming into the recording. Okay.
Okay.
Uh,
We need to get together. Let's go to Australia.
yeah. Let's do this. We'll all leave the call. I'll see if I can change my region. And make the call again.
Okay.
You have to host the call.
Do I have to host the call?
That's a good question. Probably.
We can try with someone else hosting. Let me ask you this: when
I could open a Zoom for us if you'd like.
I don't have it. So okay. I think that will work. Because basically what OBS records is my desktop audio, which will be the case whoever makes the call. So I don't think it's an issue, and we'll just so are you thinking of maybe trying to host Jim and seeing if that fixes things? If so, we'll just do a voice call rather than pressing on video call, and just give it a go. So I'm just going to put us on the be right back screen and
Okay.
we'll see what we can do, and we'll try and come back to you in just a minute. So
Right.
be right back. Okay, so they're having technical difficulties like crazy, honey.
Everything okay?
Oh, just we're having issues.
On your end, or
Oh, it seems like it's...
is there anything I can do?
Hmm?
Is there anything I can do?
There's nothing you can do, no.
Okay.
You can wave your magic fingers. Yeah, I did say to Connor that he could leave, but he's like, nah, I'm good.
Good luck.
Thanks. Okay, so we're alright. So let me turn things back on and put us back onto the other screen. Alright, we're going to try this. We've got a new call going. Seems to be okay right now. Where were we? Jeef was talking about installing a long-range scanner, which we can definitely do. We have enough credits for that. That's fine. It'll take a little bit of time, but we're familiar with that process. And obviously, Jeef could install that himself if he wants. And if Mineth can do some research into her family while Jeef sort of tinkers away at installing that.
And so Mineth was about to suggest.
Mm-hmm.
She was saying to Jeef, yeah, that sounds pretty good. I think considering that it looks like we're going to have to take pretty drastic measures in this other issue, we may need more help and more talent, a more different variety of people to help. And maybe it's in our best interest to rescue these people. It's not just my parents. There's other people involved too, and maybe they can help us. I mean, it looked like we're gonna have to. I don't know what you saw, Jeef, but it looks like we're gonna have to destroy that planet. That was pretty clear to both Australia and I look at her for confirmation that pretty sure we were in agreement.
Estelia's kind of still in a state of shock. But she just nods quietly. You can see that her emotions are pretty high right now. Jeef doesn't know why, but Mineth does.
Chief still just kind of has this really look on his face and said, I hate to mince words with you, but don't have to destroy that planet. I agree to not, be around anymore. Who are we to take care of that planet? What?
You have an alternate solution?
Let's not talk about solutions. You don't have a plan either.
No, all I've got is that it seemed that we were going to have to destroy that planet. But if you think there's a way to stop what's happening without destroying it, I'm all ears. Because I don't know how in the world we'd go about doing that.
Let's tell the Imperials. This thing is as big as a threat that they think that we think that it is. And they can see that, and we can convey that to them.
I mean, yeah.
I don't know that I want to get in bed with the Imperials, Chief.
And what's your other plan then? What's your plan then? They have firepower. They have manpower. We have you, me, and Estrella.
Right.
Yeah. And plus...
But how do we know that they'll agree with us that has to be...
Well, Jeef's got a card that he can play in this situation. It's his choice or our choice to play that or not. But if the Imperials are like iffing and butting, there is a card that we have that we can play, revolving around a certain engineer who we happen to know where he is. Yeah, I'm getting cut up again.
Sorry, maybe it's that I'm kind of taking time between my statements.
Maybe.
I said, fine, but you're gonna owe me. So, pretty sure I know where, he's a big deal. And you wouldn't remember it, but you'll remember what he did. What was it? Death Star?
Yeah, he engineered the first Death Star, yeah.
Yeah, I'm losing. Okay.
So that we have that card to play if we had to. If the Imperials were like not listening. Approaching the Imperials, as we all know, is not necessarily the safest thing, but it's not necessarily not either. We would just have to find the right contact, I suppose.
We don't have to. That's right. We don't have to approach the Imperials. We need to find a like-minded individual who will believe us.
Yeah.
And take it to the Imperials for us.
Right.
Yeah. That's
That's where you come in, right?
Not a bad idea.
Yeah. Yeah, Minette's got some contacts.
Yeah. I don't know that she has political contacts, but she has contacts. um,
I have droids. All of my contacts are here.
that's certainly worth
Excuse me.
considering.
Yeah. Certainly notifying the Empire what's going on. You're pretty sure that they have no idea right now. I mean, it's only because you've been using these gates that you found out, and they don't even know about the gate network.
We don't want them to find out, so.
But you know where in
Gee,
space
what
this
happens
planet is.
when they start questioning us how we know about this?
Tell them I had a weird vision. I had a weird dream.
That's true.
They don't want to talk to me anyway. They want to talk to whoever you got in your pocket, right?
Yeah, if we're out of the loop and if we tell someone else everything that we know, then we don't have to be questioned if we can do it right. There's
This
risk, but
engineer, what was his alliance or allegiance?
Bevel
Only
Lenalisk
work-
is
You know.
on the run from Emperor Palpatine right now.
So, Chief, I mean, maybe we should share this with our other friend.
Or what?
Our other friend? Who?
Our other friends, Farakaya and her lot.
What are they gonna do?
The rebels gave us the location of Bevel Lenalisk. They know where he is. They told us about that.
And
They're not helping him, but they've indirectly I guess changed his circumstances on the sly so that he could find where he is. So they're not openly helping him. It's more like doing what they can unofficially.
right. And I guess so. Mineth is thinking that their rebel contacts might be more interested. She thinks they might be more interested in bringing an end to this than the Imperials will.
That's fine, but the rebels are already a smaller group, and they're not going to be able to split their manpower between the Yuzhan Vong and the Empire.
Yeah,
Men to bear.
it's a good point, but what if the Empire doesn't want to solve the problem?
I mean,
The rebels are our next option.
yeah.
I can see you being so altruistic through this. And, you know, if in this situation, again, if this was going to be something that was going to work out for us and let's say that the rebels were, the big guys, and the Empire was slowly trying to take over, and they were in different positions. I'd be saying, let's go talk to the people that are the rebels, because by all intents and purposes, they have men to burn.
Sure.
I don't want to be anywhere near that until I have a better skeleton.
That's a good plan.
I guess there is a certain sense to that, Jeef. Maybe that's the way we should go.
Okay.
She
Then-
says with much trepidation.
So,
So then, go ahead.
I'm going to throw a little curveball. It's not much of a curveball. Estelia is also hearing this conversation. She says, look,
She can't.
I don't want to throw you guys under the bus, but I can't
No.
What?
deal
Yeah,
with
can't
the
do it.
Empire. If we're using a contact to contact the Empire and we're not part of that, okay. But they...
Oh, no. Either way, I want to use an intermediary. I don't want to have to deal with any of them directly.
Alright, I'm just gonna let you do that. I'm not really gonna have a part of that. I'm sorry. I just can't right now. And she's very upset. And again, Mineth kind of knows a little bit about
Yeah.
why. And
And I assume that Mineth and G for that. I mean, do we know? I mean, I'm making a big assumption. My meta knowledge would be that, we know that the Empire has been hunting down people with force powers.
yeah.
But would we know that as characters?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
I would.
So, Mineth, that would be a position that Mineth really doesn't want to put Estelia in,
Right.
and she's not real comfortable with, she's
I have not
Not a
seen
fan.
Attila use any kind of force yet.
Right. Yeah.
Completely unaware.
There's that, and also
Yeah.
When Skavath force held us and got away with the child, we had the inkling at that time that perhaps he part of the reason was he found force sensitive child, but the second part of that might have been that he was close to being found. So you think
So
that
he needed to.
yeah, you think that he had a plan? It doesn't seem right that he would just randomly, spring his idea. You think that he might have been under a bit of pressure, as in maybe someone had found him and he just needed to execute his plan early, because he didn't do that initially, and he was waiting and he was helping everyone out and everything, and then he sprung the
Right.
plan. So it just doesn't seem in his character, right? So you think probably he had to spring the plan early, in order to be safe. Doesn't make it right, but that's kind of what you're thinking.
So, Mineth looks at Stelia, and of course she can't. Of course you can't. How could I have overlooked that detail? And you know what, Jeef, she's a crew member. She's our friend. We can't take the risk of exposing her either
Exposing her
to
what?
the Empire. exposing her to the Empire.
Exposing what?
Good point.
And I kind of look at Estelia again, realizing that I may have said more than I should have with that. Although she did just say herself that she can't.
Well, okay. All right. So there's a few layers here, and Jim's onto something, or Jeef's onto something here. Right? There's numerous layers to this. Estelia is saying what she's saying now, primarily because the Empire hunted down via bounty hunter her mum, right? And she's just seen her mum in this dream, but she was unaware that her mum was force sensitive. Right? Up till right now,
Right.
that was unknown. So she's just discovered something, and she's in shock, right?
She's trying to process, right?
And now that process is now, and Minet's like, well, we're trying to protect you from the Empire, and Estelia's like, hang on, what does that mean that I'm? And she's on the path of discovering that the Force is kind of a bit more than with her.
You just initiated that dream, Estelia.
Yeah, I mean,
And
that's something that my mother taught me before she passed. And is that why Skavath was training me? He taught me how to focus, center myself. He taught me how to use this ancient weapon. And again, she pulls out the sword that she's got. He said that it was special. You can see that she's pretty naive in the whole scheme of things. She doesn't really know what a Jedi is. Most of her life has been on the run.
did she just pull out a lightsaber?
Sorry, I've got two of you saying things.
Sorry. Go ahead, Jim.
Right?
It's on you, Jim.
So that's just a sword, right?
She says, I mean, yeah, I mean...
I'm going to go over and grab a hold of it and take a look at it.
Okay. So, I'm sure that as Jim, you're familiar with the equipment that Star Wars has. This here is what is known as an ancient sword.
Oh, okay. But just a quick look over, there doesn't seem to be anything special about it other than that it's tech. Like, somebody thousands of years ago would have called this tech.
Right. It's not exactly just a sword. There's a little bit more to it. And the way that you use it, the way that you fight with it is a little bit different. Not worlds apart. You can still use it as a normal sword. But Estelia, the way that Estelia's been using it is a tiny bit different. But yes, it is effectively a sword, but very, very old.
Okay.
Okay, but it doesn't look like a lightsaber. Then it actually looks like a sword. It's not like...
Right, but Skavath also left her, or left us, that special hilt and the crystal.
So that she could...
Yeah, so his plan, you think, part of it was to train her enough and get her to a place where she could make her own lightsaber. She's not there yet, and he's left. But he left her with them, maybe with the idea that she might come across that herself. And it looks like right now is part of that discovery. She's like, hang on.
Right.
So I'm like my mother, who, what were they? She says and looks directly at Mineth. What were those figures?
I believe they were Jedi.
Jedi. I've heard that word.
They were...
Her eyes go wide and she says, that's the word that... And she almost gags in her mouth. He used when he killed my mother.
Skavath?
No.
No, the bounty hunter.
Oh.
She can't even bring herself to say his name.
Hey, what did he look like?
We helped kill him, remember?
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's when Estalia got really antsy and, like, murder hobo.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then she took the dog tags, and there were a bunch of other names on them, and she swore that she would eventually hunt them all down.
Oh. It's impressive, because, Mother must have been really good at what she does, because if she was... They were pretty much wiped out a handful of years back by Order 66.
Right.
You know this, Minute?
Yeah, so, Estelia's mother survived about 3 or 4 years after Order 66 before she was eventually found and murdered. Estelia can sort of tell you when she died, and you can sort of calculate that, so...
Yeah. And I don't know what you saw, but we shared a vision, as Celia and I, of many of these Jedi trapped.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't think she was the only one who was found and killed later.
Perhaps not.
There are a lot that were found years ago, though, and killed. Those spirits, they told me they were kind of trapped between. Those spirits were killed from Order 66, so same time period as Estrella's mother.
Yeah, I mean, what you could infer is that it's not just Jedi that were killed during Order 66 whose spirits are being held, but it's any ones that were killed then and after.
Oh.
And they, I mean, we definitely need to help them, but maybe we should hunt down this contact of yours and again,
He's not a
I just
contact of mine. Like, let's be clear, he's not a contact of mine. I just know where he is.
well, maybe we should contact him, and maybe I have to kind of backpedal, Chief. I'm sorry, but I just wasn't thinking, and we can't expose Estelia. And you know what? Really, what we've been up to is not going to look good.
Stalia says, "Look, if I agree with Jeef that something needs to be done." She says,
Absolutely.
And I think, telling the Empire is probably the smart thing to do. I just am not going to help. If you need me off the ship for a while, I can do that. And I can come and join you later. I don't blame you for this idea.
Maybe
Okay.
we could drop her off with some of those other rebels.
Yeah, like she's
I'm in
happy
contact
to
with
she's happy to chill.
Yeah.
and she's like, if she could be a force user, a force sensitive maybe, be around some of those people like that to learn more about it.
Yeah,
Figure out what's in her
Yeah.
plate.
I think that's a
Yeah.
good idea, Jeef. She says,
Okay.
and I think I need a bit of time just to, I don't know, figure this all out. Sorry, I'm a little bit not
It's
myself.
okay. It's okay. It's understandable. All right. Well, so at that point, I guess I'd start thinking about my contacts and who might be um someone who could, who we could contact to do this.
Already in the system with Regulon, though, right?
You don't have to be. You can, sort of say that we were gating and just say that maybe we had part of this conversation before and that we decided that we would stop somewhere else on the way or something and then change our minds. So if you like, we could have been, I don't know, gated to Chuazala or something like that, which is kind of on the way to Regulon anyway. That's not an issue. If you wanted to maybe run past near Pando and check in with anyone there on the way to Regulon, that's totally fine. I'm okay to retcon that we were directly in the gate to Regulon if we need, and we can gate to Regulon after. So if we want to do that, it's only a very small retcon. It's just
No, I was just trying to decide whether we need to go ahead and land and get that long range scanner stuff taken care of, and she can deal with her attacks in that manner, because through the portals over and over again could, even though we've now had this vision, to affect us in a negative way.
Right, and the more we use them, the worse it's going to be. But we had to use it this time to have that dream or state take place.
So I'm just trying to
minimize.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm good for however this gets set up.
I guess maybe then it depends on where Estelia would like to be left.
All right. I think.
According.
Yeah, I think then we would say that we were just on our way back to near Pando. That's where we kind of all met. That's kind of where we all started. That's where she knows the most people. And it's the safest place that we have right now. So, yeah. And then we can just sort of decide where we want to go from there.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
All right. So, let's say that that's what happened. We were instead gating to near Pando. We had the thing. She doesn't want to come with for this little bit, but she's willing to join back up with us later. She's going to do some soul searching and discovery while we're doing whatever we need to do, and she'll be back with us later. Is there anything else that you guys want to do on Near Pando? Do you want to talk about where we want to go next? What the next port of call is, or who wants to look up whose contacts or whatever while we're here?
I?
Remember that guy from a while back that wanted to be in the limelight?
Patter.
Should we? What do we think about him as a contact for talking to the Empire? Or do we even trust him not to
It's
like?
an interesting idea. I don't know.
And if he already has access, then we're almost guaranteed that he won't bring our names up.
Right, because he's gonna.
Right.
He's
Because he
gonna
wants all the glory.
take all the glory. Yeah. It's an interesting idea. The table's open. You can throw a couple of different ideas up, or
If you want to go talk to him, that's great. I can use that time to send him a message. But if we want to,
Right.
I'll go ahead and find.
So beyond that, do we have anybody else who would be a likely candidate? Like,
it depends what you want in a candidate. What are you looking for in a candidate?
We definitely want somebody who's not going to share what we've been up to. Preferably not mention us at all. And somebody that the Imperials will actually listen to and believe.
I don't know that we know anyone.
That's hard beyond that. Like, I mean, maybe if we knew somebody political or...
Yeah, we haven't met
I
anyone
suppose
political.
the corporation, but I don't know that we could count on them to protect our identities.
I mean, you can ask them. We have. Let's see. So Tano was the one that set us up with the Daz Corps. He introduced us to Ossa. Ossa doesn't have any Imperial contacts. She's trying to keep it secret from the Empire. And
That's right. We don't want to call attention to that either. That's true.
And a Daz Corps hired us to use the gates beneath the Empire's nose, so you probably don't think that they're the best place to go back to and say, hey, do we want to tell the Empire? I mean, that doesn't seem to fit.
Definitely not.
Maybe, like, Carson? He's not political, but he might have some Imperial customers. Certainly, he was pretty big in that industry. He didn't really seem like an Imperial, so to speak, but
Right.
who
He
else?
might be a good one, and I have something for him too.
I'm just sort of flicking through who we've met.
Let's see.
Who else have we met? Just sort of flicking through all of these.
Yeah, looking at the.
Jataeus is also a trader, that Toydarian. But we don't have as good a relationship with him unless we found some old ship parts to trade with him, give him. Most of our contacts have been rebels or.
Not a bad idea. Like they probably wouldn't suspect him of anything either, or like he's also somebody who'd be in a position to hear gossip and to potentially gain information that he wouldn't necessarily have to be connected to
Right.
in a personal way.
Yeah, look, I think having flipped through all of my cards, with people that we've met previously in this campaign, he's probably our best bet. If we want to create someone, we can. But as far as if we already want a relationship with them, as far as a group of people, then that's the best that I can really offer, I think, having looked through the cards.
We want to give any input, Jim?
Oh. Gee, like, I am solid in the. If you want to get a hold of somebody, cool. I've told you where I stand.
Yeah.
Whatever
Well,
you
that's
do.
Chief. I'm asking Jim, but I guess that's
Yeah.
not really.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm down.
Okay.
Just, I mean, Chief are gonna.
Yeah.
If things don't go super straight, then fumble his way to try to make something happen faster.
All right. Well, I guess Carson makes sense.
Yeah. It's either that or Pata. And, you know, there's probably pros and cons to both.
Yeah, and meanwhile, we're kind of trying to divorce ourselves from the whole Pata situation.
That's what you were attempting to do, yes.
Yeah, which we had successfully extracted ourselves from thanks to Connor. So maybe we don't want to
get ourselves embroiled back in that.
Yeah, and I do have, I have something for Carson. I have that material for him, that fabric.
Right.
So.
Yeah, the dust, the salt dust or whatever it was.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's probably a good.
All right. It sounds like that's our first port of call then. So shall we do that then? Let's. I'll change our screen because we're. So we'll change our screen here to near Panda since. There we go. Yeah. You want to talk to Carson? It's fine. So we just jump to that then and see how that goes, how we present this information. So, yeah, obviously Carson will meet us. That's not an issue.
Excellent. So, yeah, I mean, I guess I'll ask him to meet us in a location that's not as public as where we've met him before, someplace a little more private.
Okay. He would agree to that after business hours.
Yeah, that's fair. Um,
He generally works from about 7 a.m. through to 4 or 5, depending.
okay.
He gets up that early because, he needs to as part of his job. Yeah, so he's willing to meet us for dinner, something like that.
Okay. Dinner's good. Yeah, and I'll bring the fabric along. I don't have my note here somewhere. And I don't know. I mean, it doesn't sound. I guess I'm on my own, huh? Because it's not. So. Yeah. So I guess I'll invite him to some restaurant, and I'll have that fabric with me, and I will open with, "Hey, Carson. So how you doing?"
Oh, fabulous, darling. How are you?
I'm good. It's good to see you. We've been out and about, and I found something I thought you might be interested in, and I brought it back to show you.
Oh, fabulous,
And
darling.
I hand him like the equivalent of a shopping bag or something.
Right.
With,
It's like,
with fabric in it for him
oh,
to
in
take
here.
a look at.
Okay. He'll open the bag and he'll just stare down into it.
I saw that and I immediately thought of you. I knew you were the only person I knew who would truly appreciate this.
He reaches into one of his pockets and he pulls out a set of gloves. White gloves. And he starts to put the gloves on before reaching his hand into the bag. All the while sort of looking up at you and then looking back into the bag. And then looking up at you and then looking back into the bag. And then he pulls it out and he starts to unravel the fabric. And he's just speechless. Darling, where did you find this?
Oh, you wouldn't believe me if I told you. It was the most unlikely of places, but we had an opportunity to acquire it, and after that fiasco with Sharon, I thought you'd be into this.
I don't know what to say. And you can see that he clearly has no idea what to say. He says, look, wow, I don't even know how to use this, but I know some people. Wow, this is... What? Is this just a gift? I can't accept that as a gift. Sure, like...
So at this point, I think that we had discussed that Mineth kind of had a clue what it's worth.
Oh, yeah. She doesn't know exactly, but you might have seen it once or twice at market, maybe. if you were very lucky.
Yeah. So, well, maybe not an outright gift, Carson, but maybe at a nice discount.
He's,
I mean, you know, wholesale cost, maybe less
he says,
the difference in what you lost on that deal because of the fiasco with us.
oh, that, okay, so his demeanor changes slightly when you start saying maybe it cost. He's like, oh,
This is as good as negotiating as Meneth is.
he says, the fact that you were able to find this and bring it back, is a wonder enough. Maybe there's something I can do for you in return for it. Something maybe worth more to you.
You know what? Now that you mention it, there is a little something you can do.
Right. He looks skeptical.
I proceed to lay out the situation to him and the solution that we think is the best course of action.
Okay. So let's just sort of summarize then. Would you tell him that there's a living planet?
Yeah. I mean, I think I would tell him in pretty general and summarized manner.
Right. So there's this living planet.
I'd probably say something like, "Hey, yeah, there's this living planet, and it's trapped the souls of some ancient people, and their time's just about up. They need to be released."
Right. Would you tell them the name of the creatures that are doing this? The Yuzan Vong?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think I'd hold a lot back. Maybe I'd tell it in kind of general terms and see what his reaction is, and then give him more details.
Alright. Okay. So, yeah, you lay it all out then. Pretty much. You're keeping your own part of it more secret. You're just telling him kind of the information rather than how you found it out and what.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. He listens to you. He looks very concerned. He's looking you right in the eye as you're talking. He doesn't want to offend you. You can see him pausing before he speaks. He says, darling, this is amazing. And you're amazing. You sure you haven't been on some foreign planet that's messing with your mind?
Oh, sweetie. I'm sure.
This is
I
hard.
know it's a lot to process.
You know what? There is something about this that does ring a bell.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm just looking for the planet that he's going to quote here. Let me just. He says, I have a contact, and it will be. Sorry. I have a contact that recently told me that his whole like outpost got destroyed where he was trading to.
Recently?
In the last year.
Oh, no.
Which is why I'm sort of like wondering if that's part of what you're saying, but the thing that sort of makes that a possibility is that, and I'm just trying to find the planet name here, sorry. Where is it? Damn it. He's gonna give you the planet name when I find it. Apparently, since then, since his whole trading platform got destroyed, that entire planet has been taken over. He says.
No way.
Yeah. At least that's. I would have to get back in touch with him to see if that's. And he says, have you heard of the planet Deluge in U13? It's kind of on the way to Regulon.
That's in the right neighborhood.
Apparently, reports say, and I'm not inclined to believe them entirely, but now that you've brought it up, a race of insect-like humanoids that are fly biological ships. Does that sound?
Yuzan Vong, by any chance?
Maybe.
Sounds too on the nose.
Do you know?
It has to be.
He says, I might do some research if you don't mind. How about you come back tomorrow this time? You can take this wonderful material so that you know it well. I don't know if you trust me. You can if you like and bring it back, or I'll hold on to it. But I'll meet you here tomorrow and see if I can find him or any news of what happened, and just be sure, he says. And
That
You see that he kind of believes you because some of this makes sense, but the whole story seems almost impossible to him.
Yeah, a little. It's a little much.
A living planet with, yeah, he is,
Stealing souls of ancient Jedi.
and he's trying not to offend
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
by questioning you, but he's like, look, if this is true, this is a big deal.
Yes. It
So let me do that research and we'll meet back up.
Okay. You hang on to this
Okay.
until then.
You can see that he's a little happier that he didn't have to pay for it.
No skin off her nose. She didn't pay for it herself. So.
Right. Yeah. So back with Chief then. You've just been working on the ship and such.
That is incorrect.
Okay.
Just though, isn't it? Do my best. Trying to, because we went back to near Pando,
Right.
talking to him about hopefully trying to, for a long range version of it, and to get working on that. At the same time, using that as cover for finding potential and maybe how to services, just in case the minutes plan doesn't show that it's getting any footing.
Okay. Cool. All right. So, what do you
Okay,
need
give
from
me
me?
the-
I guess is.
I guess rather, what do you need from me? Roles to install, roles to do.
So
Whatever
okay,
checks
I'll
I
give you
need.
this. Right. So if you were to just work on it, without making a roll, it would take you a day. And I mean probably 12 hours of work.
How many hours?
12.
Okay.
If you want to make a roll, every success will decrease the time by an hour.
What's the difficulty?
I'd call it. You've worked on various ships and stuff before. This is kind of your thing. And was it your dad had raced or something with ships and stuff before? Is that right? Okay. I'd call it normally. I'd normally call it hard with a setback. I'm going to remove the setback and I'm going to give you a boost. Both for your background. So it's just going to be hard with a boost.
All right. I'll give it a shot. How'd that turn out?
Wow. Yeah. So you've put it down to 8 hours and you have 3 advantages that you could spend in various ways.
I'm good. I'm happy to have gotten the time down and maybe those 3 advantages to let's say I'll do this real quick.
Like you were saying, you were using it kind of as a cover as well.
So let's say I'm going to continue doing the excuse me. what is it? Let's say maybe at the time I'm going to use those. Maybe like Asa shows up, and in that time of Asa there, I give her a little bit of a rundown, and also think, you know, who would be real good to let know that these things are here? These gates uh, could be a selling point. Like, and I'm talking to her about it, and I'm trying to just be like, hey, I found out, and um, the reason I'm needing to trade this out for a long range scanner is because we think that there's something going on with one of the planets out there in this sector. If this is true, gates may be the only way for anybody to be able to get there to take care of it. I'm just planting that seed to Asa. Convince her, we're going, hey, we think there's something that's out there. Research and recon for you. But if this really turns out to be a bigger deal, it's on a gold mine.
She nods and she says, well, maybe Dazkor knew it was going to be a gold mine?
Oh. Are you saying that Descor knows about this?
I don't know. She says, maybe. If they did, that... I don't even want to think about it. She says, let's hope sort of not, but maybe they knew that they would get lots of money. I mean, obviously making these trade routes in itself would be very lucrative. Surely they're not that corrupt.
Right. I just, you know.
How about this? You're good with computers, right, Chief?
Yes, ma'am.
How would you like the opportunity to
Yes.
attach to their mainframe remotely?
Whose mainframe?
Dazcor's.
Like literally, he's over there just attaching parts, kind of just talking over his shoulder now that he doesn't think she's interested. And she goes, Dazcor. He goes, oh, and stops and turns and stands up, like drops his tools.
You know, I could probably arrange that.
Yeah. Wait. Why?
Think about it, Chief. If someone in a Dazcor knew about some of this strangeness and are trying to cash this in, that's not good. I'm a reputable archaeologist, Chief.
Yes, ma'am.
And all of my life's work, or at least the last 10 years of it, has been researching how to use this Gree technology. And now there's the possibility that someone's using it for their own gain that's just beyond even just credits.
And like, and Jeef leans in, turns his face a little sideways, and puts his finger toward his eye and points at her. About, yeah.
So, you know what? I would like to know whether someone is doing that. Because there's many other locations of Gree technology that I could go to. And I don't know whether I really want to be a part of something when that might be the case. Would you be willing to find out for me?
I'll do my best. Yeah. Like I don't think she has any idea that she's totally like espionage side. Maybe she does, and she's real good at saying it in a real.
Yeah, I mean, she's playing into your hand, I guess, at the moment, but she doesn't really know. But yeah, she says, look, okay, I'll arrange that. How about you come back to me tomorrow at about this time? And we'll make that happen.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Oh, giving us headaches. You know anything about that?
Headaches.
Yeah, like
it shouldn't. I mean, I suppose the degree weren't like us. Maybe it was built for their physiology.
All right. I'll keep you in the loop. Next time we go through, can all of us make sure that everything's all right and see if there's any changes and send that information back to you so you can.
All right. Well, that would help my research. And if it is giving you headaches, are they getting worse, G?
Not for me. It's just every time we do it, I feel it coming on, and then it goes away. You know, just.
Huh. Yeah. I mean, that could mean that there's an element of danger to this, and I guess I knew that there might be, but look, yeah. Any information would be good, especially in that I obviously want to be sure that you and all of the crew are okay. If we shouldn't be using this gate, like if these headaches get worse, if things get worse, I don't know whether I would want them to stay open. But we can figure that out later once we've got a little bit more data. I'll organize that and we'll meet back up tomorrow and sort that out.
Yes, ma'am. Go back to work.
Sure.
And he gives her that same head turned, finger to his eye, pointing at her. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's take a couple of minutes to have a break, feed animals, have food, water, whatever. And we'll be right back with the next day as both Mineth and Jeef get back in touch with their contacts and spark, I guess, the what happens next. So we'll be right back, folks. All right, so feel free to take a short break. I'll be right back. There you go. mean, we left off, how do you kill a planet?
Yes. Are you very good at it?
I'm back, folks, whenever you are. Same. Well, this is not, Alright, welcome back to Slice of Desperation, a Star Wars adventure. And we're back with our characters who have come back on this next day to their contacts. Mineth is meeting with Carson, and Jeef is meeting up with Ossa. Carson is slightly camp fashion designer and trader, and Ossa is a reputable archaeologist. Carson has done some research. We'll go to Chris first. We might chop back and forward depending on how we go. Carson has done some research and indeed has discovered that that this story about the planet being overtaken is actually true. And that is the planet Deluge, and I might type it in here. Planet Deluge, and that's in EU13. Planet Deluge was only lightly populated, with barren canyons and muddy slopes. Has standard gravity 2 moons. There was a lot of mud on the planet and giant lake worms in the mud. There was an Imperial training center there, and it was mostly a human world. All of the Imperials and all of the humans on that planet have been wiped out. And all signs of technology have been erased. And he brings this to you, Mineth. It says, I thought maybe that you might have been on something, and I apologize. Because that story you told me seemed a little far-fetched.
It's understandable, Carson, really.
But
I had a
it
hard time believing it myself.
seems that you're right.
Carson, if there was an Imperial base there that was wiped out and the planet was overtaken, why wouldn't the Imperials have done something about that?
He thinks for a
Doesn't that seem
moment.
odd?
He says, number one, while Imperials have outposts and things, this isn't their largest concentration of forces in the Outer Rim.
Maybe not.
Two, how many people lived to tell the tale?
Yeah. So they
I had
might
to
not even-
do a fair bit of footwork to find out. And from what I learned, the Imperial outpost seemed to be the target of their attack. Whoever they are. The Yuzan Vong. I'm not sure I entirely believe the way, like the form that people report on them, that they're insectoid or not, that they fly biological ships, but certainly what I was able to find was that they've destroyed technology. And it seems like maybe the Imperials were developing technology there. And I think that may be the reason why they were targeted. And it may be the reason why they haven't retaliated as yet. Because their technology was destroyed.
That makes a certain degree of sense. I guess if somehow they don't know that this has happened, then learning about it would be of interest.
Yeah,
Do know about it.
maybe they
haven't
just
done anything about it.
don't.
It's hard to say. But
Yeah, maybe they didn't
maybe they
know
just
what to
didn't
do.
have enough information. It's possible.
I
So
think.
what do you think? You wanna help us out with this little?
Yeah. So what are you suggesting?
Well, Carson, I know you're a man of many contacts. And I thought perhaps you could discreetly ensure that this information gets to the Imperials so that they, with any luck, will do something about this.
All right. Let me find Carson's sheet. Carson. Where are you, Carson? Huh. Nope.
Little shoe.
Huh. Okay. He says, I think I can find value in that. I think I can tell the right people. I think I can, spin it. Yeah, okay.
I knew you could.
Why don't you roll me a persuasion check? Carson's already invested in this because this affects his trade network and one of his contacts. So telling the Empire I don't think it's negative for him in any way. So this is going to be an average check, and you're going to get 2 boosts. One from the fact that you bought back this material, and it's super rare and valuable, and 2, because he's already invested. So
Nice.
should be kind of easy. So let's roll it.
And what's the difficulty on this one?
Average, please.
Okay. And you said persuasion.
Persuasion, which would be negotiation or charm. Negotiation or charm, your choice.
Ooh, I'll go for negotiation. All right. Be kind to me, dice. Oh, look at that.
All right. Well,
that is 5 advantages.
It is 5 advantages.
Yeah, baby.
Mineth, I'll give you a choice. You can come up with different things if you like. But I will offer you this. You can spend 3 of those advantages to get a place in the pot that Carson will receive upon giving this information to the Imperials. You'll get a part of the pot. If you don't want that, you can spend them in any other way that you wish.
I will take a part of the pot.
All right.
That's good. And then can the remaining go to Jeef to assist in whatever he has next?
Sure, you can make your way over there. You can say that, you're super excited that this went through and you got all this information for him. So, the excitement and the extra information can be those extra 2 boosts as you meet up with him.
Sweet.
Perfect. Jeef, you meet with Ossa.
Yeah.
She has secured a connection to the Dazcor server via a remote interface that she has that will give you more secure access than you would have been able to obtain for yourself. This interface allows you a limited time connection without the chance that you will be detected during that time. The time is 90 minutes. And it will be safe from detection for that long. If you stayed in the system for longer, you have the normal chance of detection when we're talking about a galaxy worldwide crazily intense company that has very good security.
Yeah.
So it's risky beyond that time. But you've got 90 minutes. What do you want to do?
So for clarification, what's my goal specifically? What am I?
Okay, so you've intimated, and Ossa has taken that intimation to be a little bit more than what you told her. You're trying to find out how much information a Dazcor or its representatives, probably the person in charge, knows about the Malabar construct and the gates between worlds, and to see how much information they know, to see if there's corruption. So she's asking you to find corruption, right? She's asking you to find if they knew about this before and how much they know. It is in Jeef's interest to find out, in the sense that if they know even more than what he originally thought, that's even crazier, right? So, yeah, any other information that you want to find out about a Dazcor or about what they know, you can open those. You can potentially open files to see what they know, in addition to finding out if they know. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Right. So, and if there's anything else Chief is interested in while he's in there, and if he's still got time, then we can explore something else if you like while we're there. Mineth is arriving just as you're, opening the system up. and she seems bubbling with excitement.
Oh, I'm going to find a different place to port that's not near her.
Okay.
I'm sure she's in a great mood, but I mean, I've got 90 minutes, and I'm gonna dive in.
All right. You got it. So, I guess we're going to be making computers checks. We're not going to do the suppose because you've got 90 minutes without it. However, the system is still, kind of hard.
Eccentric. Yeah.
So it's going to be hard. Now, and the information, you're sort of looking for something that you're not 100% sure who would be behind it. So I'll give you a setback for not knowing exactly where to look. You know kind of what you're looking for, but you don't know kind of where to start. Unless you have an idea that you want to throw my way. If you do, then we might be able to take that setback away. But for now, the setback is there.
All right. So you're saying I got one setback, and I'm at a difficulty
3
hard.
purples, yeah.
Okay. Well, where I want to start is first. I want to make sure I have a quick list of like bring up a list of all the people who are a part of this, are from ASA and up.
All right.
I want to search words on living planet, like
Okay.
applications, memos, notes, maybe even just correspondence about that. Anything about the sector that it might be through the planet. Oh, I don't know about the planet right now.
So the sector, living planet, Yuzhan Vong,
Right.
maybe gateway.
Gateway and headache, gateway side effects.
Okay. Sounds good. So we'll I guess what can I do? Yeah. So Mineth can just flat out give you the names of her superiors, right? So that's fine. The rest, I think, you're gonna have to search the computer for. So your first check will be perhaps within that framework of who her superiors are, everyone above her. And it's not a massive list, but it's significant. Within that window is kind of where you're looking for those keywords. Is that okay? Okay. Ooh. All right.
The black's not in there.
And neither are Mineth's boosts. You have
Oh, I didn't hear the boosts.
you have 2 of those. All right.
Black's still in there.
Perfect. That's okay because even with the setback, it's still going to be a success. So I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. So
Okay.
you succeeded. What does this mean? All right. What have we found? Let me bring up my thing here. Right. I'm gonna put this person's name into the chat. Arko Adazka is the descendant of the founder of Adazkor. Arko is a slightly older than middle-aged man. He's in his 50s, 56, and he's got on his emails. They're quite dated, and they're in their own secure area. Nothing that you can see recently without a further check, but you're kind of looking, and you're seeing some emails, or messages rather, from him to an unknown contact just at the moment.
Okay.
And these emails or messages contain some of those keywords. The keywords that it will contain are gateway, it won't have Yuzhan Vong. It will have headaches, yes. And it will have a couple of other effects that are written there that you might have included in your search. It will have... what else? Don't think it will say planet. So it's going to be gateway, it's going to be headache, it's going to be travel.
Okay. Then the emails. So, am I on a hardwired connection for this?
So it's remote but secure.
Okay. I'm doing this from my data pad.
Oh, well, she's given you an interface that you can plug your data pad into, yeah.
Perfect. Add into it. I will take all of those emails and just copy them over to my data pad. Let's say that I've got J3EP, and I just say, look through these, tell me if you see anything important, and then I go back into the interface.
Okay.
Or blues. Then I'm going to also look up, it's like destroyed tech, and tack on Imperials.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Arko Adaska knows about what could be going on about this issue with the headaches, but nothing to know about the people. Okay, let's do that. Looking up information about other people having nefarious uses. So we can go through talks about maybe there's somebody who's already sending communications about selling the gateway paths or routes.
Okay. Okay, so you don't find anything about selling off the routes because Dazkor is trying to have a monopoly on them.
Okay.
in addition, you're sort of looking at maybe more. You sort of getting J3 to sort of scan a little bit more into some of those emails, and J3's gonna sort of print back to you some keywords that maybe you didn't tell him, but that
Up a lot.
he thinks are kind of important.
Okay. I will trust.
So when you get the snapshot, it's like a little printout of part of the email. When you start reading it, it immediately sounds religious to you. Saying the birth of our great Savior is at hand.
I'm going to go down that rabbit hole.
O hail to thee, Octurn our Saviour. May she be born into the world. May those who birth her increase. May those who do not know her hear of her majestic salvation. By using these gates, we will spread her glorious message for all who are to come and for all who now exist. And it goes on like this for some time. Oh, and it says about the birthing of her children. May her children be born into this world by shadow, by powers unknown, so on and so forth.
Okay. Okay. Who is that from? Is that just...
That is Arko Adazkar talking to his contact.
We still don't know who the contact is?
Correct.
You have, like... do we, for lack of a better term, do we have... a message receipt? Maybe... Okay, I'll just see if I can go down the rabbit hole and follow that trail then. Follow that and... I mean, if they're secure, there's some way to know. As secure as you're saying, there's some way to find out where this is. Or who he's talking to.
Okay. How much does Jeef know about conversion of messages to different formats?
Like basic. Like maybe he got it through 5th grade but didn't continue on.
Okay.
Mostly self-taught.
So what I'll give you for free is this. The message that was sent has been converted into a different format. If you want to find out where it ended up or how it ended up there or what format it's changed into, that'll be another check.
I'll definitely try.
And this, in this case, it's going to be the same difficulty, but I definitely want that set back in here for that one, please. And you don't have Minus boosts for this one either.
Right. So 3 purple, 1 black.
Yes. Oh, yes, you could spend a story. Okay. It's fine. You succeed. Cool. you find that it is changed format from an email into sound. And that this sound is a chittering insectoid language that you don't understand and that you can't convert, but you assume that the conversion is into that language, that the message is the same. His email has gone to a member of the Yuzhan Vong.
Okay. Do I have a recipient in that?
Don't have a name, but
Okay.
because they don't go, they're not going by a name. It's kind of, but you can sort of see whereabouts it got converted to, and the area of space that it went to is around Deluge, the planet Deluge.
Okay. Okay, real quick, I'm gonna and look for like emails or other messages that say the word savior.
Oh, you find a bunch.
Are they just random emails, or are they like them to J3 and say, flag any of these that are similar to the ones that you just found?
All right. Is there any information in particular that you're kind of looking for, or are you just wanting to save them?
And I'm looking for that seems similar or connected to this one sent by Arco Adaska, and we can keep copies of to. Basically, it's like looking. I'm thinking of it as looking through a filing cabinet, finding a file that's like, and then looking in that file folder and finding a single file that goes, oh yeah, taking the whole folder and taking it out.
Right. So most of the other emails that are not to this unnamed contact are to other people in the organization, and they talk about the meeting that we had the other day, where we invoked the name of our Savior, and we felt such a rush of warmth, and oh, wasn't it amazing, and hope to see you next time, and that sort of thing. It's talking about open, closed meetings that these employees and friends of Arco have had together, where they've received messages or from their savior, or from the messengers of their savior. The messengers of their savior being the Yuzhan Vong.
Is Oss's name attached to any of this?
No.
Is there anybody whose name that isn't Arco Adaska that could be somebody that we've met around here attached to it? Let's say, cool. How about we're looking at or Daknor.
No to Daknor, but there is a message from Tano Waheen that says, I wish you would stop bugging me about this savior of yours. I'm not really that interested, but thanks, I guess, for the thought. Please stop.
Okay.
And that was from Tano Wahine, who you first met in that marquee, who sort of recruited you, who you got the message from right at the start of the campaign.
Like, he's the guy that when you first walk in, we meet.
Right.
Okay, that's cool.
So yeah, you can see he's not involved, but he was contacted.
Okay. I look over at J3 and I'm like, got anything else?
Um,
Ooh, a record of the other gate of the gates that have been used.
the gates that have been used, only the ones that you've used. So
It says that they want to use the gates to move
yeah.
forward. So I guess is there a record? Like, I'm looking for a record of other gates that have been used. I know the ones that we've used.
Only the ones that we've used have been used. The messages that that are to and fro talk about the establishment of the gates, and that by doing that, the her children will be able to be birthed. So by establishing the connection, that will trigger the event. And you think, I'll give you this for free too, just by seeing some of this language and whatever, what they believe is that the event of Octurne basically coming to life was triggered, they believe, by connecting the gates. So they didn't connect them before you guys. They've used you as their vehicle through the gates.
Oh. Any of our crew in those emails?
No.
Okay. I guess the last thing I'm going to look up is any messages that talk about myself, Meneth, Rikdak, or
Okay.
Estrella. Just to make, like, they're not on to us.
The only emails that really mention you by name are, we found some likely candidates. Here is a list, and there's a big old list, and you're in that list. All of us are.
That's weird, because I didn't apply for this. How'd they find me?
You did get a hollow message, right?
Yeah, I got, but that means I was on the list before I got the message.
Yep.
Makes me special. I'll copy that list over and move it in to the memory, and
It says likely candidates. And you can probably find, when you follow the trail of that particular email, that hollow recordings were sent to every single one of those recipients.
okay.
And I'd say we're talking about between 30 and 40 people.
Okay. Right, I'll move that list over, making sure I've got a couple list going. The list of people that that Escort contacted as potential candidates, a list of people who are discussing their great savior.
The
That's-
the ring of people discussing their great savior is fairly small. We're talking about like maybe half a dozen at most.
is fine. That is more those people. And I mean, I've got those emails already saved in, I guess.
Yeah.
Asa can do with what she wants. So with their side effects, or even just side effects, can I search that?
The side effects of the travel, yeah. It says theoretical. It's all theoretical because they never used the thing before. But it talks about theoretical sort of mental effects, headaches, mind control. Uh, uh, what's the word for like becoming brain dead? You know, these are all potential side effects of this sort of technology, and it sort of lists a bunch of them. And you know, basically, Adazka has signed off and said, you know, it's worth the risk.
Mind control is very scary because how do I now know that force dream wasn't forced on me?
Right. Good question. I'm not sure how to answer that right now.
No, and that's good. That's a mystery for me.
It'll also have in there heightened emotions. So that'll be in the list. And you've definitely recognized that amongst the crew. The crew have definitely had spikes in their emotional states and changes in their emotional states after travel.
Okay.
Excuse me.
I'm probably running out of time, and I'm not gonna milk it for every last minute.
Right.
I want to shut up down to make sure that my time long gone off of it.
Right. Now, are you going to share this orally with Mineth, or like what? Let's talk about what happens now with this information and what you're going to do with it.
During the gathering process, or just after?
Just your process, whatever happens after.
Okay, so I'm shut down already then?
Yeah, you're shutting the computer down. And doesn't, you know, you're under time. I would say not by much, but you're under time.
Okay. So I'll pull up my data pad. I'm going to bring J3, and J3 will project while I talk.
Mm-hmm.
I'll show, and like I'll even bring Asa on board the ship and everything. Like I'm doing this, knowing that none of our crewmates were any part of it. I'm going to let them sit in on this.
Okay.
I'm going to invite them to, unless Asa doesn't want them to.
No, us is all for safety, and this to her is a giant breach of protocol by by Dazkor and by this representative. And
Right.
according to her, you know, everyone has the right to this information that goes through the gates. They should have the right to know this before they use them. That's her thing. So she's like, get them in here. They need to see this.
Okay. And so, J3 will start projecting and explain, starting off. I found some information about traveling through the gates, at communications with Arco Adaska, and I'll look over at says that they believe theoretically it can cause going through the gates will cause heightened emotions. Experienced that. Headaches, we felt those coming on. Get the mind control. And going into a vegetative state, a worse level. In the communications that this was just theoretical, mind you, but is research and find it to be true.
So of the crew, the person, like, and you can sort of look at their responses, they're all a little taken aback. But one of them in particular is standing out. And Mineth will notice this too as she's doing this. And I'd like to hear, as Chief's talking, what Mineth thinks in just a moment. And what she says. But both of you will notice that Philic Nuan, the navigations and communications expert, the Bardotan female, she seems more taken aback than the others. Her face becomes immediately drawn. Lines appear under her eyes, as if she hasn't slept, but she wasn't looking like that a moment ago. Back over to you, I guess.
Well, things get worse. It all seems that it really is going to go back to communications. We found some proof of communication. I'm assuming it has to do with Yuzon Bong. Great savior, and I'll just start pages and pages and pages of the email communications from that half dozen. Talking about how they had reached out to their goddess and it had felt glorious to them, and they're speaking of this, and it was just, and these are all people who are obviously high up in Adaskor, not...
Yeah, the ring is very small and it's very isolated to people with top security clearance.
Right.
Apart from that one errant one to Tateno that was rejected.
And the next one I go up to is the one from Tano. They even reached out to him, and he rejected him. So maybe in the future, or if we'd like to bring him in, he obviously has no interest in being a part of what they're doing, and so far has been, to be honest, want to at least inform at another time. But here, and I'm going to play the... this is not the original message that I found sent out. It actually was sent like this, and I'll show the converted, the original email. And if you'll notice, zoom in, this email is from none other than Arco Adaska himself.
Okay.
This is bad. This is real bad.
So, as Jeef is talking, Mineth, and as you're trying to make sense of everything that he's saying, what's going through your head and what are you going to say and do?
Mineth is... Well, she's gone from her excitement from earlier to feeling betrayed and
Oh no, I'm not hearing
deflated a
any of that
little.
again.
Okay, you're feeling betrayed and
Is
deflated. Yep.
yeah, at feeling like this. She put her trust in this company. She put her safety in their hands, so to speak. Got herself indebted to them in a big way, and now it turns out that sounds like they're very much behind what's going on.
Right. So
And whether unwittingly or not, it still feels like a betrayal. So
okay. So you feel betrayed by them.
you
You
know,
feel like they've sort of, you entrusted your well-being to them. They've hired you. You've become sort of indebted to them, and this is all just massive betrayal.
yeah,
Obviously, not all of the staff know, and also seems completely shocked. Even though she's not really part of a DAS Corps, they're funding her expedition. So
yeah, she has a similar relationship problem. And and I think too that Minith is kind of wondering, um, as she sorts through her shock. I think she's just beginning at the tail end of Jeef's presentation about, I guess about like what the common thread is besides a Dascor. Like, how did these people learn of this so-called religion?
okay,
Did they have some other common thread that might have been, since mind control has been mentioned, perhaps they've been brainwashed, or, why would they be worshiping something so bizarre?
okay.
And she's giving, she's kind of like, surely they don't realize, so like, what's at the bottom of that?
Okay. Did you catch any of that, Jim?
Oh, I can't hear her at all anymore.
Okay. So basically, she's asking the question, how did these people that are, worshipping this crazy, weird thing learn of it? Where, what other way could they have learned from it? What other communications are there that how have they made contact, and how is this religion / worship / cult started, basically?
I didn't get any of that information.
Yeah, but she's just pondering it. She looks betrayed.
She's not expecting you to have. It's just like all of this kind of leads her to think, okay, well,
Yeah. So yeah, like I'm just gonna relay to Jeef as we're going. So she's not expecting you to know Jeef or Jim. She's more just like, it's more of a hypothetical question. How did this happen? What? There must have been some.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe something worth investigating.
Mm-hmm.
If it might somehow help us with what we need, with what's coming.
Okay.
Ouch.
Yeah. So she wants to investigate it further, maybe in a different way. And obviously Jeef has some ideas and thoughts and feelings about it too. So what's going on in your head and stuff there, Jeef?
You said it was Philip?
Philip?
Was acting weird?
Yeah. Yep. It is. She's a Bardotan female. She's the navigations and communications person. And when you met her, what we knew about her is that she was sort of on a religious pilgrimage from holy site to holy site across the galaxy. Whenever we've stopped at a location, she's visited whatever religious temples they might have had off in the background. I haven't really shone a spotlight on that because I didn't feel it was particularly important, but that's just for your information, that's what she's done. Everywhere that she's gone to their religious temples.
Okay. I guess I'm going to everybody that out of just to make sure that we're all safe. We want to get a reading of how everybody's doing now after all of those jumps.
Mm-hmm.
I know that we've all said, but some of us have a higher pain tolerance,
Mm-hmm.
and some of us maybe not wanting to be removed from the ship are not letting everybody know as much, and I would understand. So,
yeah, and I didn't get you to roll your discipline checks this time either. So maybe we should do that now and report how we feel based on our checks. Yeah?
nice.
Okay.
That sounds good.
So, let's see if... I think I had recorded how we were doing as far as successes and failures. I just got to find it. So it started off as average, and what happens? I'll just be above board here. What happens is every time we fail, it either adds a difficulty or upgrades. Every time we succeed, it adds a setback.
Oh man, I've only succeeded so far, so I've got 3 setbacks.
Yeah. So it's average with 3 setbacks for you, and for Mineth, do you recall how many times? Probably a lot
I
of.
was trying. Let's see if I put it in my notes anywhere.
Yeah, I'm just looking to. Thought I wrote it down. Yeah, yeah.
Duty. I do not remember. I'm sorry to
I know
say.
you failed at least
Don't think. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think I've passed them all.
So let's do this. I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna give you 2 purples, a red, and 2 setbacks.
2 setbacks. This is why I fail. All right, and this is a discipline.
Yeah.
Which I have.
Chief. Oh my god!
Yeah, I mean, I don't have. Yeah.
And this is the first time that Chief has failed. You are all feeling. Alright, Mineth. What is your. What is your fear?
My what?
Your fear?
Fear?
Yeah. You know, in your motivations, you've got a desire, strength, fear,
yeah,
and
yeah.
flaw.
Let me go look again. Sorry, I'm like, wait, is that a?
I know that's not usually in Star Wars; it's a Genesis thing, but we've got it. So.
Right, I believe. Oh, it's humiliation. I'm especially concerned with being discredited and mistrusted by others. I
Right.
strive to be beyond reproach.
I'm gonna play on that. You've got 5 failures. I'm gonna play on that. You're not only feeling incredibly fatigued, Mineth, but in addition to just feeling, it's okay. It's kind of like going into withdrawal. That's kind of how you're feeling right now. You're feeling hot and then cold and then hot and then cold. You've been playing it off while this has all been going on to try and get some answers. But right now, as this information is flooding in, it just comes up again and it's just overwhelming to you. And then you suddenly realize that you've been working for this organization who has betrayed you, but you have flown their flag, so to speak, everywhere that you've gone. You've said, well, we're working for them, and now
Right.
you are representing the very thing that you don't want, which is being discredited and being humiliated. You feel humiliated right now. You feel that fear. So we'll get to that. Jeef, yours is not as much as hers. I'm not going to play up one of your motivations in this case. However, you are feeling the same withdrawal symptoms, should I say. So hot and cold flashes, sudden sweats, that sort of thing. And the crew is not looking good. They, especially Philic, who is... So she was sitting... I'm just imagining that we're all sitting on benches or chairs of some description. She's keeled over and she is on the floor. She's like curled up in a protective cocoon. The others are like looking at each other and they're like, "Oh, what are we gonna do?" And they're starting to get really riled up. Pointing at each other, accusing everything that they can. Starting to get kind of loud in here. Your head's ringing. So Mineth, talk to me about how we're gonna play up that fear of yours and what that's gonna mean for you in the next few minutes.
Well, Minif is absolutely oblivious to anything else going around her at this point, and in fact, kind of whirls around and runs out of the
room. Yeah.
And I think she heads to the fresher where she immediately spills her guts into the...
Fair.
And proceeds to, splash herself with cold water and stuff afterwards, trying to, process.
All right. Well, while she's outside trying to recover, Jeef, Mineth's just run out. Clearly trying to keep her lunch. You're not quite off as bad as her, so...
I ask the rest of the crew how they're doing.
Oh, they're not doing good at all. They're like yelling at each other. They're like, who's to blame? They're like they're getting angry. Like I said, it's getting very loud in here because they're just screaming across the room. Philic is on the ground, in a safety cocoon with her hands over her head, trying to block everything out, and the rest of the crew is just beside themselves, yelling at each other and trying to find someone to blame. Doesn't seem like a normal, necessarily, reaction. You think, yeah, you can be upset, but you think that it's being magnified by the gate trouble.
Okay. I don't know what to do.
No. Sorry.
I look over at Alpha.
Osa's kind of in shock, but she seems okay in respect to everyone else.
Getting the headaches now. I'm struggling with it, and my face clenches up.
Okay.
But I gesture toward everybody else. I go, "This is what has to happen when we go through the. How do we fight this?"
Right. Osa just says, "What do you mean? How do we fight it? I mean, we can't do anything about what's on the other end, but we can close these gates down."
How do we fight this reaction? Because we have to keep going through the gates, right?
Well, if you if it's just getting worse, the only thing that I can recommend is go to each one, close each one. You don't necessarily have to use the gates to get to the gates. It just takes more time. But if you want to use the gates to then close the gates, then at least they're closed. Then no one else can be affected. Maybe we get someone else to close them instead of you, so that. But then, what we do from there, what we do about whatever's out there that's causing all of this, I don't have an answer to that question. But as far as I'm concerned, the gate should be closed. It's just too dangerous.
Agree.
I know enough about harmonics by now to, power down the other gates and, create new algorithms so that they're more difficult than, take away their crystals, whatever else that we need to do. I don't know if you're all going to be in agreement. Philip hears her speaking and says, "No, you can't stop us! We have to use it!" Then goes back into a cocoon.
And does Philip do anything after he just goes back down that fetal position?
Yeah. Yep. Like, has Jeef seen someone in withdrawal from drugs?
Drugs. Chief's situation, like Alzheimer's, but nothing drug related.
Okay. Well, it's kind of the reaction that a junkie makes if someone asks for them to stop. So even if Jeef doesn't have a huge amount of familiarity with that, you would recognize that that's what this is like for her.
Yeah. Oh, I need to tie Philip up.
Yeah.
Me and my pot belly is not necessarily the best for that. Kind of wishing Rick Deck was around.
Yeah.
Look. Okay, so I'll talk through the headache and point out to the rest of the crew that's still in here. possible that Philip is at the point of being mind controlled and we do something about it.
Yeah, they're all looking pretty concerned, even through their anger. You think that the anger is, like I said, a reaction to what's happening and then magnified by the gate travel. But as you're speaking and as you're trying to be calm and bring attention to the fact that their friend and crewmate is suffering, they're able to sort of see through what they're experiencing enough to feel empathy. They're willing to help you restrain her.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Yeah, they'll restrain her, and effectively she can be in the medical bay on the ship. Under.
Nation.
Yeah, sedation. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what else to do. Like,
Yeah.
it's a tough situation.
Right. Yeah, we found out so much today. Our characters are like probably a little bit overwhelmed with just all of this information. We came here back to Near Pando, and probably thank God that we did, because otherwise we would have been flying around without this knowledge and we couldn't act on it. And even if we don't know how to act right now, at least we know kind of what's going on and can do something. Informed action is better than just blind action.
Right.
Yeah.
So let me ask my players, my friends, do we want to have some time to think about it as players, and sort of come back next time and bring back some ideas? Do we want to sort of sort through it now? I don't want to weigh too heavily on you, so we're all friends here. We can sort of make decisions based on what we're feeling, and it's been 3 hours, so
Because of the current technical difficulty, it would be best to save it for the next time.
Mm-hmm.
all right.
Say everything that she says to me.
Yeah, it's hard when
Yeah,
you can't
right?
hear. All right.
Yeah. And he's starting to break up for me.
Every time that you speak, Chris, a green circle appears around your picture, and when I see that, I back off and just let you keep. I'm like, she's talking. Don't say anything.
Right.
And if you're lucky, you can understand it, right?
If you're lucky, you can understand it. Yeah. All right. Well, we've had some.
Honestly.
Yep. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, I was gonna say, honestly, 3 hours is about where I,
it's about
after
right.
that I start to fade anyway. So this is about a good for me. And
all right.
yeah.
Well, I will keep you online for another 5 minutes after I stop, just to debrief with you, just to make sure that everyone's okay, because that's where my heart is. Anyone that's been watching, it's been an intense session. We've found a whole lot of stuff, and thanks for watching, and thank you for my two friends who have been playing. We're going to stop the stream now. We'll have a quick chat, and we'll go back to our lives. We'll be back in a couple of weeks with the next session of Slice of Desperation. Bye for now.